In the heart of a bustling city, where the sun painted golden hues on the rooftops each morning, lived two young women whose lives were intertwined by family ties but separated by contrasting values. Isabella, with her radiant complexion and striking features, was often the center of attention. She walked with an air of confidence, believing that beauty was her most valuable asset. Her days were filled with shopping sprees, social gatherings, and a constant pursuit of admiration. Lily, her cousin, possessed a quiet strength. With a warm smile and eyes that reflected wisdom beyond her years, she believed in the power of knowledge and kindness. While Isabella sought validation from the world, Lily found contentment in her studies and the simple joys of life. Their home, shared with their respective mothers, was a place where these contrasting ideals often clashed. Isabella's mother, Margaret, echoed her daughter's sentiments, placing immense value on appearances and societal status. She often dismissed Lily's aspirations, suggesting that education was merely a tool for securing a favorable marriage. Lily's mother, Eleanor, stood as a pillar of support for her daughter. She encouraged Lily to pursue her dreams, emphasizing the importance of character and integrity over superficial beauty. One morning, as the sun filtered through the curtains, Lily prepared for her university classes. She knocked on Isabella's door, reminding her of their shared schedule. "I'm not going today," Isabella replied nonchalantly. "There's a massive sale at the mall." "Priorities, dear cousin." Lily sighed, "But our finals are approaching. This semester is crucial." Isabella smirked. "For you, perhaps. I don't need grades to secure my future. With my looks, opportunities come knocking." Lily paused, choosing her words carefully. Education isn't just about grades or jobs. It's about growth, understanding the world, and finding one's purpose. Isabella waved her off. "Spare me the lecture. Not everyone needs to hide behind books." As days turned into weeks, their paths diverged further. Isabella's days were consumed by vanity, while Lily immersed herself in learning and self-improvement. One evening, the family gathered for dinner. The conversation turned to marriage prospects, a topic Margaret often dominated. "Isabella has received another proposal," she announced proudly, "from a wealthy family abroad." Eleanor nodded politely. "That's wonderful." "And Lily has been excelling in her studies. She aims to pursue her master's degree." Margaret scoffed. "Books won't find her a husband. She should focus on enhancing her appearance." Lily, hurt but composed, responded, "I'd rather be valued for my mind and heart than just my face." Margaret retorted, "That's easy to say when you lack the former." The room fell silent, the tension palpable. Eleanor reached out, placing a comforting hand on her daughter's. In the days that followed, a family friend introduced a suitor named Daniel to the household. He was intelligent, kind, and shared Lily's passion for learning. As he spent time with the family, he observed the dynamics between the cousins. Daniel found himself drawn to Lily's sincerity and depth. Her conversations were enlightening, her laughter genuine. In contrast, Isabella's constant need for validation and superficial chatter left him disinterested. One afternoon, Daniel approached Eleanor, expressing his desire to get to know Lily better. Margaret, overhearing the conversation, was taken aback. "But what about Isabella?" she questioned. "She's the one with the beauty and charm." Daniel replied, "True beauty lies in authenticity and compassion. Lily embodies both." Margaret, unable to comprehend his perspective, dismissed his words, but the seed was planted. Isabella, upon learning of Daniel's interest in Lily, confronted her cousin. "How did you manage to steal his attention?" she demanded. "He's supposed to be mine." Lily, calm and composed, responded, "Affection isn't something to be stolen. It's earned through genuine connection." Isabella, feeling threatened, lashed out, "You're just jealous of my looks." Lily looked at her, eyes filled with empathy. "I hope one day you realize that true worth isn't skin deep." The chapter closes with Isabella staring at her reflection, questioning the values she once held dear, while Lily continues her journey, grounded in self-worth and purpose. The days rolled by, each carrying a weight of unspoken words and unrealized dreams. In the quiet spaces of the house, echoes of past conversations lingered like ghosts of expectations. The tension, though unspoken, was tangible, thick in the air like humidity before a storm. Lily continued her studies with quiet determination, each textbook she read a stepping stone toward the future she envisioned. Though her heart carried the bruises of Margaret's harsh words and Isabella's constant taunts, she found solace in purpose, in goals that extended beyond the shallow glimmers of approval. Her father, Thomas, a soft-spoken man with calloused hands from years of honest work, noticed her unease. One evening, he approached her with 2 cups of ginger tea, their shared ritual. "You've been quiet, Lily," he said gently, more than usual. She looked up from her notes, trying to offer a smile. "Just thinking, Dad." He sat beside her. "About the proposal." She nodded. "Everyone expects me to say yes if the family is rich. But what about love? What about shared values? I don't want to be an ornament in someone's life." Thomas sighed. "Your mother and I want you to be happy. But we're also aware of how society judges women. Sometimes we try too hard to shield you from disappointment." She leaned her head on his shoulder. "I'm not afraid of hardship, Dad. I'm afraid of losing myself in someone else's expectations." "Then don't," he said. "Be like the river. Find your path no matter how many rocks try to block your way." In contrast, Margaret was busy planning Isabella's future with Daniel's friend Samuel, a doctor who was due to visit from abroad. The thought of her daughter marrying into wealth and prestige consumed her. Every conversation, every decision revolved around appearances and alliances. Isabella, thrilled by the idea of marrying a foreign-trained doctor, felt invincible. "This is what I was born for," she often told herself, "to shine, to be admired, to live the life others only dream of." But beneath her confidence was a fragile core built entirely on external praise. She had never been challenged to introspect, to grow beyond the mirror's reflection. When Samuel arrived, the household buzzed with anticipation. He was polite, respectful, and surprisingly humble. He spoke kindly to everyone, especially the house staff, and showed a genuine interest in the everyday workings of the home. At dinner, he complimented the food with sincere appreciation. "This is delicious," he said. "Did you order from somewhere?" Margaret laughed. "Of course not. My daughter Isabella would never let anyone else plan a meal." Samuel smiled. "Oh, that's interesting. I was told Lily cooked today." The room paused. Isabella forced a smile. "Well, yes, she loves these domestic things. I find it boring." Samuel turned to Lily. "You must enjoy cooking." She nodded. "Not always, but I like creating something from scratch, watching it nourish others." He looked at her, a spark of admiration in his eyes. "That's a beautiful way to see it." Later that night, Samuel confided in his mother, who had also flown in for the visit. "She's nothing like I imagined," he said. "Who?" his mother asked. "Isabella, she's all surface, but Lily, she listens. She cares." His mother, a woman seasoned by life's trials, nodded. "Then don't make a decision based on promises and pictures, make it based on peace, who brings calm to your heart." Back at the family home, Margaret noticed the shift. She confronted Alina with veiled hostility. "Your daughter is overstepping," she hissed. "First Daniel, now Samuel. Don't let her use her books and cooking to trap them." Alina, poised and unwavering, replied, "I never taught Lily to trap anyone. I taught her to be herself. If that bothers you, perhaps it's because you know charm without substance doesn't last." Margaret stormed off, rage boiling beneath her pride. In the quiet of her room, Lily overheard fragments of the argument. Her heart ached, not for herself, but for the world her cousin lived in, a world where love was a transaction and value was measured in fairness of skin and cut of cloth. The next day, Samuel asked Lily to walk with him in the garden. "Can I be honest with you?" he asked. "Of course," she replied. "I came here expecting to fall in love with Isabella. Everyone said she was perfect. But it's you who's made me think, made me laugh, made me feel at home." Lily's heart skipped. "Are you sure?" "Yes, and I don't care what anyone else thinks. What matters to me is your mind, your kindness, your strength." That evening, with the family gathered once again, Samuel stood before them. "I'd like to make an announcement," he said. Margaret leaned forward, expectant. "I came here with one intention, but life has a way of guiding us toward truth. And the truth is, I've found what I'm looking for in Lily." The room gasped. Margaret's face paled. Isabella stood frozen. Alina clasped her daughter's hand. Thomas smiled with pride. Samuel turned to Lily. "With your permission, I'd be honored to place this ring on your finger." Lily, trembling, looked at her parents, who nodded through tears. She turned back to Samuel, her voice barely above a whisper. "Yes." In that moment, the room fell into a reverent silence. For the first time, it was not beauty or status that had won. It was grace. It was authenticity. It was love, rooted in truth. The morning after the unexpected engagement, the house stood still in disbelief. For For years, Margaret had dreamed of her daughter rising above all through marriage. Now that dream lay shattered not because of some external force, but because someone had simply looked deeper. Isabella sat in front of her vanity, gazing into the mirror. The reflection stared back, flawless skin, styled hair, carefully drawn brows, but something had shifted. For the first time, she didn't see certainty or power. She saw questions. She saw fear. Why hadn't her beauty been enough? In another room, Lily moved with humility, helping her mother prepare breakfast, her hands steady, her heart not quite settled. Joy was there, but also concern for the tension brewing in the household, for the silent war that hadn't yet ended. At breakfast, silence reigned. Even the clinking of spoons felt loud. Samuel, trying to ease the atmosphere, complimented the semolina sweet Lily had made. "It reminds me of childhood," he smiled. "It tastes like memories." Thomas chuckled softly while Eleanor beamed with quiet pride. But Margaret remained cold. Isabella barely touched her food. "I suppose some people find simple things more impressive," Margaret muttered under her breath. Isabella looked up suddenly. "You're all pretending this is okay, that this switch was normal." Samuel looked at her gently. "No one's pretending, Isabella, we're all adjusting to reality." She scoffed. "Reality? The reality is people fall for what's beautiful. That's how the world works." Lily spoke softly, "Maybe, but beauty is many things. It's how you treat others, how you speak when no one's watching, how you respond when you're not chosen." The words stung more than any insult. Isabella stood and left the table. Outside, she confronted her mother. "You told me I was enough," she said, her voice cracking. "That my beauty would carry me anywhere, that I didn't need anything else." Margaret pulled her daughter into an embrace, her own voice breaking for the first time. "I believed it too, darling, because that's what I was taught. That's how I survived. I never realized what I didn't give you." Tears spilled down Isabella's cheeks. For all her pride, all her harshness, she was still a girl longing to be seen beyond her face. That night, while the family rested, Isabella wandered to the kitchen where Lily sat sipping tea in silence. "I was horrible to you," she said without ceremony. Lily looked up. "You were afraid." "I still am," Isabella admitted. "You've got everything now, love, respect, and I only had my reflection." "You still have so much," Lily replied, "but you have to choose it, you have to start from within." The cousins sat in quiet understanding. Maybe they would never be close, but there was something healing in being seen, even in conflict. Meanwhile, Samuel's mother had begun preparing for the wedding, but her heart, ever wise, nudged her toward something deeper. "I want to ask you something," she said to Lily one morning. "What do you want?" Lily hesitated. "I want to continue my studies, to teach, to write, to build a life not just as someone's wife but as someone with a voice." Samuel's mother nodded. "Then that is what you shall have. Marriage should not silence you, it should strengthen you." Preparations began with heart, not grandeur. The wedding would be simple, filled with homemade food, flowers from their garden, and blessings whispered through tears of joy. But not everyone was content. Margaret tried once more to reach Samuel. "She's not used to your world," she argued. "She's not glamorous." Samuel replied gently, "That's exactly why I chose her. Because I'm tired of pretense." The wedding day arrived quietly, like dawn breaking after a long storm. Lily walked down the aisle not in a lavish gown, but in a simple dress her mother had stitched with love. Her smile, soft and real, lit the room more than any chandelier could. Samuel stood waiting, his eyes filled with peace, not excitement, but something deeper, certainty. As they exchanged vows, there were no grand declarations, only promises of patience, honesty, and mutual growth. After the ceremony, as guests offered blessings and warm food was served from clay pots and steel trays, a quiet moment unfolded between Eleanor and Margaret. "I was wrong," Margaret whispered, "about many things." Eleanor smiled. "We all are, but it's never too late to learn again." In a corner, Isabella watched the newlyweds, not with jealousy but with a strange sense of hope. Maybe there was still time to discover who she was beyond the praise. Maybe, just maybe, she could write a different story. The chapter ends not with triumph but with transformation, a reminder that every ending is the soil from which new beginnings bloom. Time, as it always does, moved forward. The house that once echoed with unspoken rivalries now breathed softer, slower. In the wake of the wedding, a strange calm settled like the sky after a summer storm, blue and endless. Lily and Samuel adjusted to their new rhythm with grace. Their marriage wasn't perfect, but it was real. Built on honest conversations, small gestures, shared burdens. They cooked together, read in silence beside each other, laughed over burned toast, and cried when days were hard. Lily began teaching part-time at a local learning center. Her students were children from underserved communities, curious, resilient, and full of dreams. Every afternoon, she returned home with stories that lit her up from within. "I taught a girl today who wants to be an astronaut," she told Samuel once. "She's never even seen a telescope, but her eyes, they held galaxies." Samuel smiled. "You're becoming someone's telescope." Meanwhile, Isabella stood at a crossroads. The engagement that never happened, the future that dissolved, these were not just disappointments but awakenings. For the first time, she didn't know what to do next. And in that uncertainty, something precious stirred, the question of purpose. One afternoon, she visited the community center where Lily taught. Quietly, without announcing herself, she sat at the back of a classroom and watched her cousin explain a science experiment using household objects, watched her make complex ideas feel simple, watched the way children leaned in, not because they had to, but because they wanted to. After class, Lily spotted her. "You came," she said, surprised. Isabella shrugged. "I wanted to see what you do. It looks meaningful." "It is," Lily nodded, "but it's also tiring and unpredictable. But it fills me up." There was a pause before Isabella whispered, "I want that, not the teaching maybe, but something that's mine." Lily smiled. "That's the first step." Days turned to weeks. Isabella began volunteering. First reluctantly, then willingly. She helped organize books, read stories to children, and even started taking evening courses in communication and psychology. One night over tea, she told her mother, "I don't want to be chosen for my looks anymore. I want to be respected for who I am." Margaret, who had spent most of her life chasing appearances, nodded slowly. "I didn't know better. I thought if I could make you shine, the world would treat you well, but I never taught you how to shine from the inside." They held each other, not with words but with forgiveness. Elsewhere, Eleanor and Thomas watched the changes unfold with quiet pride. Their home had not been perfect, but it had been a place of principles. And now they saw the fruits of that integrity grow slowly, gently, but surely. One day, as Samuel prepared to leave for a brief medical seminar abroad, he handed Lily a small notebook. "What's this?" she asked. "Your book," he replied. "You've always talked about writing. Now you can begin." Lily opened the notebook and found the first page already filled. "In this house," it read, "I found my voice. In your heart I found my echo, and in this life I found my reason." She looked up, eyes shining. "Thank you. Promise me you'll start," he said. "I already have," she smiled. As she penned her first chapter that evening, about courage, about resilience, about redefining beauty, Isabella watched from across the room, her own journal open for the first time. Not every seed sprouts at the same time. Some bloom in sunshine, others wait for rain. But when they do, they reach for the same sky. This chapter doesn't end with applause or confetti. It ends with a pen meeting paper with two women sitting side by side, not rivals but reflections. One finding her way home, the other opening the door. Months passed, but their story did not fade. It deepened, ripened, and rooted itself into something enduring. The once fractured home was now a place of quiet rituals and new beginnings. The sound of early morning tea being poured, pages turning in side-by-side journals. A gentle hum of conversation over family dinners, not dominated by comparison or pride, but woven with curiosity and care. Isabella had started her internship at a local counseling center. She wore no makeup on most days now, not because she no longer cared, but because she no longer needed to prove anything. Her beauty, once a currency she clutched tightly, had softened into presence, into the confidence that she was becoming someone of depth. One day, as she stood outside the center, a young girl approached, tears in her eyes. "My classmates made fun of my skin," she whispered. Isabella knelt down, heart catching in her throat. "You know," she said, "when I was your age, I thought I had to be lighter to be loved. But then someone showed me that light isn't in our skin, it's in our words, in how we treat others. In how we rise again and again." The girl looked up at her, a flicker of hope in her eyes. "I want to be like you," she said. And Isabella, for the first time in her life, felt the real weight of that sentence and the honor it carried. Back at home, Lily's manuscript was nearly complete. Her writing, like her life, had matured into something grounded and luminous. The final chapter was about her family, not just the love and pain, but the transformation. The way people change when grace meets truth. She read excerpts to Samuel in the evenings, her voice steady, her thoughts clear. He listened not just as a husband, but as a believer in her voice. One weekend, they organized a gathering at their home, a modest book reading and community celebration. Children from the Learning Center came, neighbors dropped by, and former students beamed with pride. Lily stood by the garden, reading a passage from her upcoming book. We are not what others see when they look at us. We are who we become when no one's watching, in the quiet, in the struggle, in the unwavering decision to keep showing up. The crowd was silent, moved. Isabella approached afterward, holding her own journal. I've started writing too, she said softly. Lily smiled. I knew you would. I'm not ready to share yet, Isabella admitted. But I'm finally telling the truth in it. That's where all healing begins, Lily replied, with the truth. Their parents watched from the porch. Margaret had aged a little in those months, but not from regret, from reflection. She had begun hosting parenting circles at the community center, helping other mothers see beyond their daughters' appearances, guiding them toward more enduring foundations. Eleanor, as always, remained the quiet compass, smiling at the fullness of the journey. In the final pages of Lily's book, she wrote, "This isn't just my story, it's our story. Of women told to compete who chose instead to connect. Of mothers told to mold who chose instead to unlearn. Of girls told to shine who learned to glow from within." She closed the notebook and looked around at her family, her community, her future. And for the first time in a long while, everyone had found their place, not one determined by beauty or praise or status, but by choice, by love. As the sun dipped below the horizon, the house hummed with gentle laughter and new dreams. And somewhere deep in the heart of each woman in that house,